So when I was at school, I used to love playing rugby, and I was good in sports and athletics and all these adventurous things and the outdoors. And you know, if I think of the typical like farm boy, because I come from a farm, and anything to do with adventure, that would describe my life. And I went on to play for Sharks under 19 after school. I decided I wanted to pursue a career in sport because I loved it so much. And pursuing a career in sport is a very difficult thing. It's a very challenging environment. And even though I did want to do sport, I always had the ambition to go study as well. So after I played for Sharks under 19, I went to Marties, Stellenbosch, and I studied BCom logistics over there. And while I was studying there, I also played for Marties. I played there for 4 years. And, loving life, loving rugby, having the whole student life and everything. And at that age, you literally feel like invincible almost. You have everything going for you. You have your whole life ahead of you. There's friends and parties and girls and all these things, and you have like the whole world at your fingertips. And my last year of studies, when I played for Marties, I had an injury. I tore my shoulder ligaments and my chest and my bicep, and that was the end of my rugby career as I knew it. And it was also the final year of studies, and I made the decision to just call it, that I'm finished with sport now after this devastating accident that I had. And I started working the next year, and I was just on my way to someone I was seeing at the time. It was 7 p.m. on a Friday. In about a month's time, that's actually going to be my anniversary of my accident. And this was 6 years ago. So as I was driving, as I said, didn't have anything to drink or nothing. Just that is how quick these things happen. And as I was driving, I just took my eyes off the road for 1 second, like a split second. And I lost control of my car. And the next thing that I know, I wake up at the side of the road, and I'm unable to get up. I can feel my legs. I can just feel everything is cold. But I was unable to get up. And the man that found me, he just said, just lay still, just lay very still, you hurt your back. And I'm not sure how he actually knew that. But he just found me in a fetal position next to my car. At that stage, we phoned the ambulance, and I was actually too scared to phone my dad because I knew I was going to be in trouble for writing off my car. And I think all of us know that feeling, as jy nou katte kwaad aangejaag het. So I didn't want to phone my dad. I said, no, you can phone my friends and everyone. Let's tell my dad a bit later. My friends actually phoned my dad, and then he came to the hospital. But the next day I woke up, and I woke up in hospital, in ICU, and I just remembered the feeling that I couldn't feel my legs, and I thought I actually lost them. I thought they amputated my legs, because I was laying in bed, and I felt, there's nothing here. And the moment I reached down, I felt my legs, so I was very confused, because at that stage, I was so ignorant, I didn't even know how you get paralyzed. I don't know the definition of paralysis, And I flipped over the duvet, but my legs were still there. And then I wanted to get up, but I couldn't move them. It's the funniest feeling ever. And things weren't just registering in my mind. At that stage, my parents came in, and obviously with tears in their eyes and trying to explain to me what happened, but it just felt like a bad dream, and I'm just going to wake up any moment, and it's all past, and nothing happened. And I had to face the reality that this has happened to me. We always hear these things, these tragic events. We hear it happening to people, but you never think it can happen to you. Especially in my position, I was this rugby player, have everything, I can do almost anything physically, but I never thought it would happen to me. I never thought it. I thought I was I was not part of the criteria that these things happen to in life. And that's the fact that, trauma and challenges and difficult times and stuff, there's no criteria for it. It can happen to anyone at any stage, and that is life. That is life. These Goliaths come over our path, and we have no decision. It's not our choice. We just have to take it. These cards that get dealt to us, that's your hand that you get dealt in life, and that is it. But the decision is, what are we going to do from there? So I went on and I went to rehabilitation, and where you just basically learn to cope again with your disability. In my mind, I thought I'm going to walk out of that place after 4 months, and that was very far from the truth. They just taught me to get dressed, to feed yourself, just to go to the bathroom, make your bed, just do basic stuff so you can be a normal person when you go back home again. And I had to face this whole thing of, okay, who am I now? Because I can't do the things I used to do. Because when you're at school and university, that's my experience of it, you find that you're good in something. You're good in sport. You're good in maths. You're good in, whatever it may be. And that is who you are. I was Alvain that played rugby. And now all of a sudden I can't play rugby anymore. So who am I? And yes, I knew the Lord my whole life, but I didn't place my identity in who He says I am. And that was a big reality check for me, because all of a sudden I don't know who I am. I don't know this person. If I look in the mirror sitting in a wheelchair, I did not recognize that person. I just did not know who he was. And when I was in rehab, I really sought after the Lord. I really chased His heart because I wanted answers. I wanted to know, this isn't fair what's happening right now. Why couldn't it happen to someone that's not interested in sport or the outdoors and all these things? Why does it have to happen to me specifically? I could not understand that. And then, I consulted. I went to the Lord. I said, Lord, there must be a bigger plan with this. You have all the answers, and I know you have a plan with this, because He has a plan with everything. Sy planne word nooit op nie. And I chased after His heart. I really went after His heart. And what I found is something that I didn't expect. I got to know God. I got to know who He was, that He's a good Father. And I stopped looking at, I want the answer to the questions that I have. Because that's what happens if you go after the Lord. We start out, and we want answers, and we want to know how to solve these things. And then you discover actually who God is. I would say His personality. And you just fall in love with that, and you just forget about your problems completely. I think Jeremiah 29:13 talks about it, And you will seek me and find me when you search me with all your heart. So at that stage, I had nothing. And it's ironic because I had to lose everything to realize that God is everything. I had to lose it all. I had to start at rock bottom. And I think sometimes, I'm not saying these things are from God, but it's sometimes a blessing that we can lose things and realize, we need to build from a solid foundation, and that is Jesus Christ. And that was my situation. I had to restart my life, and that's what happened. So when I went home, I thought, okay, everything is going to go back to normal. This is going to be fine. I'm going to go back home. I still had the hopes of, I'm going to run again. I'm going to walk again. Trust me, I still do today, but at that time, that was the mindset. It wasn't a faith mindset. It was more like, I'm going to recover and everything is going to be fine. And I went home, and things actually, I was at a good place when I went home. But when I got there, my friends had to go back to university, and they had to go back to work. My parents had to go back to work. And I couldn't go back to work at that stage because of the nature of the job that I had. I couldn't do sports. I couldn't go running with my dog anymore. And then I found, I'm sitting at home, so what now? Like, I'm so bored. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with my life. And then I went into this depression, this black hole. And one day I was alone at home, and I love hunting. So I've got lots of rifles and guns and stuff at home. And as I was cleaning my guns, I actually thought about it. The thought crossed my mind. I thought, Alvin, you can just end this right now. You can just end your life right now, and you don't have to suffer anymore. You don't have to worry about all these things. You can just end the book. You can just close the book right now. Because that is what life is. We always have the decision to close the book of our lives or to keep on reading. Because at the end of the day, we write our own stories. So I wanted to close the book on my life. I wanted to call it, I say, God, I'm tired. I can't do this anymore. I'm just going to end it. And I thought of suicide. I thought that this is going to be the answer, that I'm going to end it. And at that moment, I had this powerful moment where the Lord just spoke to me and said, Alvin, I still have an expectancy for you. I still have a plan with your life. And this reminds me of the story of Gideon. So I'm just going to paraphrase and sum it up for you guys in Judges 6, where Gideon, the nation of Israel is oppressed by the Midianites, and he's in a winepress threshing wheat. He's just trying to make a living. He's just trying to eat something. But they are oppressed. They are slaves, basically. And an angel of the Lord appears to him and said, don't be afraid, mighty warrior. And I had to laugh when I read this, because it just made me think of my situation where the Lord's saying to me, Alvin, I still have a plan with you. Despite your circumstances, daar is nog steeds hoop. I say, God, have you seen my situation? Have you seen I'm sitting in the wheelchair? Have you seen I've lost everything? And I think Gideon felt the same, where the Lord is saying, mighty warrior, but he's a slave, And you just sometimes have to laugh at this, but we are allowed to be honest with God. When things aren't going our way, you can tell God, are you serious? Like, I know what you're saying. This is what your word is saying. You have an expectancy. You have a plan for my life. But my circumstances aren't reflecting that. That is where faith comes in. That we have to believe in the things we can't see. Hebrews 11 verse 1 is the perfect example of faith. Everyone knows that. And that is what we need in those circumstances, is to see past the current circumstances. You must see past the retrenchment, past the COVID-19, past the current, situation, because that is what God sees. He sees you in your full potential. He sees you in your perfect form. He sees past the nitty-gritty small stuff that get in the way, that block our vision and the plan that He has for our lives. And I know it's not easy. Trust me, I've been there. It's not easy. But the decision I made on that day was to believe God. Let's give this a try. Let me try this life in a wheelchair. Let's just give it a go. Because sometimes we look at our situation and we give up even before we've tried. Because we look at this massive task. I like to think of it of like training. Because I do a lot of exercise and stuff. We look at this massive training session or project in school or exam or whatever it may be, or mortgage that you have to pay or whatever, and you think, hey, how am I going to do this? But you actually haven't even started yet. So I said, okay, God, let's give this a go. I'm going to try at least. I'm going to do my best, and I'm just going to try. And that is sometimes all that the Lord wants of us. He just wants us to believe and to try. Just try. It's really not that hard. And the next day, I woke up, and you're going to laugh, it took me 30 minutes to get dressed. That is how difficult it was, and it was frustrating. And I used to complain a lot by the Lord and say, can't it just be easier? Can't I just stand up to pull my pants up? And, just that. I'll be happy with that amount of healing at least. But now I have to get dressed, and everything took me time, and I'm late the whole time. And it was so frustrating. But you know what? I just decided I'm not going to give up on this before I've given it a good go. But I was able to go back to work and have a purposeful life. And then I started hanging out with friends more. Then I can go hunting again. I found ways to actually get going again. And then I discovered, hey, but this isn't this is actually possible. I can do this. I can do this. And it's like if you watch a rugby game, the team, if they get their, some points on the board and they 20 points ahead, hulle raak nou wind gehad, because they get going. And it's very difficult to stop a team that has momentum. And that's the thing. I built up momentum in my life, and I got going again. And then I thought, hey, but if I can do this, what sports is out there that I can actually do? At that stage, I had no idea about Paralympic sport. I had no idea what I can do, what I can't do. I didn't even know about the Paralympics. And when I got back into it, I actually started with rowing because it was the easiest for me, the most accessible sport, and I got a rowing machine, and I just put it in front of the TV, and I got rowing again, just out of boredom. And I was, I actually emailed the head coach of the South African rowing team and told him, look, I want to get into rowing. I found your email on a website. How do I get involved with this? And, to my surprise, he actually replied, and they helped me out, and they got me going. And I think within a year, I was in the South African team, and I rowed for South Africa. And that was just incredible to me, because when I played rugby, I was nowhere close to becoming a Springbok. That's a very, very competitive sport. And here I am, and I redefined the whole purpose of how I do sport. I do it differently, but I can still do it. And that's the thing, my identity. God gave me a passion and also a talent to do sport, to be physical. If I'm in a wheelchair or not, I can still do sport. And that was, to me, that just opened my eyes completely. And as I went on, I went rowing and stuff, and then I started to look into other sports. So when I was still an able-bodied person, I grew up near Port Elizabeth, so we used to go watch the Ironman in Port Elizabeth. And I went there, this is as an able-bodied person, and I used to watch them race and everything, and I used to think, hulle is mal. How can you swim 4 kilometers in an ocean, cycle 180 kilometers, and then do a marathon after that? There's definitely something wrong with them. Mal. And I was too afraid to attempt to do an Ironman when I was on my legs, because I was too afraid of failing, and I had pride, and I thought, yes, but what if I don't get this right? And no, I'm not that good, I can't do this. And now that I'm in a wheelchair, I thought of it again. I thought, let me try do an Ironman. Because I know people have done it across the world in a wheelchair. No South African paraplegic has done it. And then I clicked. Then I clicked. That is the reason that this should have happened to me. I think we all ask, why me? And then I realized, why not me? I'm the perfect person who is able to do this, who is able to tackle this Ironman and do this. And that's when the dream started. That's when the Lord started speaking to me. And I want to refer back to Judges 6, where the angel of the Lord appears to Gideon and says, mighty warrior. And when God asked me, he put it on my heart to do an Ironman, I realized, oh wow, okay, God is asking quite a lot of me, but he believes in me. And that is enough. If the God of the universe believes in you, then you can't fear anything. Then there's no fear in you, nothing. And you know what? The Ironman is my Goliath, not the wheelchair, the Goliath that was placed in my life. And we all have a Goliath placed in our lives. We all have it. Different shapes and sizes and tasks and stuff. Mine is sport, and it's the Ironman. And a Goliath is placed in our life. That's the way I see it. The meaning of Goliath means uncovering. It brings you out of exile. So a Goliath isn't there to defeat you. A Goliath is only there to show you who you really are. Because it's an uncovering. You are meant to overcome that that Goliath in your life. It's going to teach you who you are. And that is what difficult times do. It teaches us who we really are. Perseverance teaches us who we really are, who you've been all along. But if we stay in this comfort zone, we never really explore what we are capable of in life. And that's why it's so important to don't despise difficult times. Because one, the Lord of the universe is behind you. You will not fail. And two, you're going to learn a lot out of it. And you're going to become better. You're going to grow from this. And I don't know about you guys, but I love growing and seeing how far can I really go? How far can I really push my life? I want to be the best version and what God is asking of me. Because He's asking something from us all. We all have a purpose. If you are here today, you still have a calling, you still have a purpose, and God is calling you. The biggest question is just, will you answer that call? And I think before my accident, I don't know if I was answering the call that was on my life. And I don't think I would have reached, the relationship level where I am currently with the Lord if it wasn't for that difficult time. I don't think I would have realized my calling if it wasn't for that difficult time. And that's why I'm so convinced that what happened to me and is part of the plan. It was part of, I would say, God's plan, even before I was born. And I really believe, as I said, when I went home after that accident, I really believe that I was going to walk out of that rehabilitation center. And today, I still feel that. I still feel it in my heart that I'm still going to stand up out of this wheelchair. Because nothing is impossible with God. But you know what? If there is something that I must still do while I'm in this wheelchair, then it's fine. Then I'll sit in this chair as long as He wants me to. And I just want to end off with that because my heart has changed so much. I can't remember the last time that I prayed to God when or how am I going to get up out of this chair. If we look at Matthew 6:33, it says, "Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all things shall be added to us." One day while I was praying, the Lord explained this to me. If we seek God, Jesus, so as ons vir Jesus navolg, in Him is everything. There is provision, finances, marriage, successful marriage, me walking again, healing. All those things are in Jesus because He paid for it all on the cross. So why would you want to chase, riches, finances? When am I going to marry? God, am I going to walk again? You're running in all these directions. Make it easy for yourself. Just run after God because all those things are inside of Him. And that was when it hit me. Matthew 6:33. I love to live by that verse that if we seek Jesus and His righteousness, all these things will be added unto us. All these things because everything is inside of Him. So I really hope that my life has inspired you, and I really also feel that this is just the beginning, that I'm just getting started, that the Lord is just getting started with my life. And it's all because I made the decision to get started. As Pastor said, we have the Robben Island Crossing coming up, which is going to be a massive event. And there's also a big testimony behind that, which will follow soon after that. And we've got some exciting stuff coming, So I'm really blessed. I'm really happy that the Lord is using a boy in a wheelchair to inspire people, because I never thought it would be possible. I often go to God and I say, I never knew that this would be possible. I never knew that you can use someone in a wheelchair. I never knew that. It's incredible. And my heart is just filled with gratitude that if the Lord can turn around my situation, He can turn around your situation in an instance. in an instance.